excavation work going on there. It's the site of the new Orkney hospital. It should be up and running in a couple of years. As we go around the corner, this farmland over on our left, down in the low ground in the middle there, there's a stream running through. On the banks of that stream there's lots of evidence that the Vikings used to haul their boats out at Scapa Flow, at Scapa Beach to our front, drag the boats over land and drop them in the bay at Kirkwall Bay. Likewise they'd pull them out at Kirkwall Bay, haul them over land and drop them in at Scapa. The reason they did this, they saved them perhaps 4 hours sailing round, and plus once they got into the flow, they were safe. It was protected from the ocean and the North Sea if it was a bad day. So it made good sense to do that. Up on the hill to our left, you can see a roof up there with 2 pagoda type structures on top. That's the Highland Park Distillery. It's the most northern malt whisky distillery in the world. Scapa Beach is to our front on the left. It's a popular place from Kirkwall. It's a nice walk on a nice day. So lots of people go down there, play football or walk the dogs, or just relax. Directly in front of us is a white building we can see with Scapa written on front of it. That's the Scapa Malt Whisky Distillery. Unfortunately for them, they're a few metres, a few hundred metres further south than Highland Park, so they can't advertise themselves as the most locally whisky distillery. Up on the hill to our right, we've got St Ola's Cemetery. Up in the top left corner there, there's a group of military graves of all nationalities. One of particular interest to us would be a young New Zealander called Lonsdale. Lonsdale was a pilot in the Second World War. His plane crashed in 1943. It was June this time of year. He'd run out of fuel and fell out of the sky. The only reason I've singled Lonsdale out from all the others up there is that later on this afternoon we'll go past where Lonsdale crashed and I'll point it out for you. And as we come back into Kirkwall, we'll actually be driving along the runway where Lonsdale took off from. So although it's a bit higgledy-piggledy, you'll see where he took off, where he crashed, and you've seen where he's buried. We're getting our first views of Scapa Flow there over on the left-hand side. We can't really gauge the size from here. It's 10 square miles. When we get about a mile further on down the road, you'll be able to appreciate the size of Scapa Flow. It is a huge natural harbour. There's not many to rival it in the world. Perhaps 2 or 3. We'll get up another 3/4 of a mile and I'll pull over and we can look at the site of where the Royal Oak is sunk. here, and I want to use this track as a marker. If you look down that track, into the sea, out into the sea there's a green marker buoy. That's the site of the Royal Oak. She lies underneath there. That marker buoy marks the site where 833 British service personnel perished that night. What makes it an even bigger tragedy in that 123 of these were buoyant sailors. They were sunk at anchor by the U-boat 47 under Gunter Preen. Gunter Preen came into the flow at midnight. If you look directly behind that marker buoy, you can see the headland jutting out there. There's 2 or 3 entrances along there that lead out to the North Sea. It was with one of these that Gunter Preen came through. He sank the Royal Oak and went out the same way he came in. We'll now move down after the First World War. The German fleet was scuttled. Down in the valley there you can see a lock. This is Cambus Lock. It supplies all the fresh water for Kirkwall. Over on our left hand side we've got Cambus Bird Reserve. Highland Park own Cambus Bird Reserve. They cut their peaks down there in the making of Highland Park malt whisky, but they don't use a lot of the grounds, and the rest are handed over to the RSPB who run it as a bird reserve. It's an absolutely gorgeous beach there. It's good for wading birds, seal spotting. It's an absolutely lovely beach, gently sloping out to the flow. I suspect the tide will be in, I'm not sure. So hopefully when we get a little bit further we'll be able to look down and see the beach itself. tide's fully in. It's not so attractive. Let's have a look. Now, as we go over this rise here, we should be able to look down into the flow itself and see. Yep, unfortunately the tide's fully in, but it really is a lovely bay. Normally the sand goes out right to the edge of the hills there. It really is a beautiful spot. There's always hardly anyone there at all. You're normally there by yourself. You could get a number 2 bus out if you wanted to see that. I'd get it when it goes back into town. I pointed out before now, right, Cambus Lock. On the top left corner of Cambus Lock, as we look at it, there's an area up on the high ground there called Summersdale. Summersdale was the site of the pitched battle back in the 14th century on Orkney. The Earl of Caithness came across with 500 troops to attack the Earl of Orkney. The idea being that Caithness would take over Orkney. They landed at Houghton, where we're going, marched down this road towards us, but when they got to this bridge here, this was blocked by the Orkneyians. It must have been very marshy them days. And the Earl of Caithness decided to circumnavigate the lock, which he started to do. But along the army, shadowed it round on the other bank of the lock, and got round to Summersdale before him. It must have been, it seems to us, an unusual tactic at the time, but what they did when they got down to Summersdale, they were on high ground. There was lots of stones there, rocks, and they picked these up and hurled them down on Caithness soldiers. It was a complete rout. I think from the whole 500, only 2 survived. The Orkneyians then moved down to the beach and out into the flow and captured the 3 ships that they came on and killed the crew on the beach. So it was a complete disaster for Caithness. The only recorded casualty on the Orkneyian side was a 16-year-old boy who came from a poor family. He had no shoes on his feet. He saw a gentleman Caithness soldier in fine clothes, boots and hat, and took them and put them on. When he walked back to his farm, his small holding, his mother saw him coming along the track, thought he was a Caithness soldier, hid behind the door with a sock with a large rock in it, and when he came through the door, she hit him over the head with it, and he subsequently died from his wounds. So that was the only casualty recorded on the Orkney side. If we look out to our left, onto the flow, we can see perhaps 6 salmon pens there from a salmon farm. Just a little bit further out in that same spot, Lieutenant Dunning, back in 1916, became the first person to land an aircraft on a moving boat, a boat at sea. A few people had taken off from boats, but none had landed on them. Dunning done it there. He did it 3 times. On the 3rd occasion, each occasion his friends rushed forward and grabbed the wings and stopped the plane going over the edge of the boat. There was no arrestor wires or anything like that in them days. But on the 3rd occasion, as he came into land, the wind, a gust of wind just tilted the wing slightly, sent the plane ski with. As it landed, his colleagues couldn't hold it. It went over the edge of the boat, plummeted into the sea. Lieutenant Dunning was knocked unconscious, and before they get him out, he drowned. So there's a plaque down there on the beach celebrating the fact that Lieutenant Dunning was the first person to land a plane on a moving boat. We're now coming into Orfa. It's a typical Orkney village. It's long, spread out along the main road. It's got its four main elements for an Orkney village. It's got its school, its church, its shop and its pub. Incidentally, on this turning on the left, if you went down there, it's the way to the View Church, which is a round church. There's, I believe, only two in Scotland. There's a remains of one down there. There's also a hiking interpretation centre and a small museum. There's a DVD down there. You can run it yourself. You just go down there and put the DVD on, make yourself comfortable, and it gives you the history of the Orkney sagas and the Vikings' time on Orkney. There's also a nice beach walk down there. It's a pleasant way to spend a couple of hours. Again, the number 2 bus comes down here and goes back, so you can catch that if you wanted. To the front of the bus in the flow, slightly left, you can see what looks like a submarine halfway out there between here and the arms. That is in fact the Barrel of Butter. It's a small little island with a beacon on top. The Barrel of Butter got its name because a local farmer here used to rent it out for hunting and fishing. Those different times they used to hunt the seals out there then. The price he charged was the price of a barrel of butter, so that's how it got its name. If you remember that barrel of butter and where it is, I'll be using that as a reference point in a few minutes' time. Site in Europe for scuba diving. There's some excellent diving out there, there's lots of wrecks. The water's crystal clear, although cold. There's not a great deal out there today, but you can see 1, 2, 3, perhaps 4 boats out there. These would be dive boats. Where they're moored up, there'll be a wreck underneath it, and the divers will be diving on the wreck. There really is a lot of wrecks out there. As I said before, the Germans at the end of the First World War interned, their fleet was interned here while the Treaty of Versailles was signed. In charge of the German fleet was Admiral Reuter. Reuter was kept out of the loop. They never informed him on anything that was going on. He could only find out what was going on by what was in the press. Newspaper he was getting was the Times, and it was normally 7 or 8 days old when he got it. Reuters thought that the British were likely to split the fleet, German fleet up, confiscate it, and split it between Germany's enemies, give a third to America, a third to France, and keep a third for themselves. Reuters was a proud man. It was a proud navy then. He decided he wouldn't allow this to happen. So he told everyone that when he ran up a certain flag, everyone was to scuttle their boats and send the fleet to the bottom. On the day of the signing of the Treaty of Versailles, it was put back away. boat. The German fleet was moored up just to the right of that, along the back and front of it, and right the way along to the barrel of butter. There was 74 warships out there, and they all scuttled on the signal. It must have been a fantastic sight. Of them, to look at the fleet, when the boat, the little boat called the Kestrel, got in the middle of the German fleet, they all scuttled, and they all both started sinking around. The crew didn't know what was going on, and they got the kids back to shore very quickly. But they asked her what she thought, and she said it was, you know, really unusual. It was really a spectacular sight. And all the kids were excited. They couldn't wait to get home and tell their parents. And they thought the school had actually laid that on forward. They thought the school had arrived to sink. As we move around and come up the top of the rise, on our left hand side we can see the hills of Hoy there over on the left. Hoy in Norse means high place. The Vikings called things as they saw it, and that is Hoy, and it really is a high place. When you get over the other side of the hills, that's St John's Head. The cliffs are 1,100 foot vertical cliffs straight down into the sea. It really is a spectacular place. And the old man of Hoy stands there, and when you're close up to him on the cliff and look across at him, it really is massive. It really is an impressive sight. The old man of Hoy, if you was over there, if you went through that valley that's right opposite us now, that leads through to Racwick Beach, which is a gorgeous beach. It's isolated. Even at its busiest times, there's hardly anyone there. It really is a nice spot, and there's a route from there up to the old man of Hoy. It's quite a gentle walk, it's not too fierce, and well worth the effort. Again, in that valley, just this end of it, not far in, there's a sea eagle pair nesting this summer. The RSPB are on the road there, they've got a telescope and binos, and a lot of information there, and they're only too glad to show you there the site and the nest through the telescope, and to point out if any of the eagles are roosting locally. The sea eagle is a huge bird. It's much bigger than the golden eagle. It's about, I think, approximately an 8.5 foot wingspan. It looks like a flying door. It really is a big bird. You could get over there to North Hoy. There's a full passenger ferry. I think there's 3 of them, perhaps 4 of them a day, that goes from Stromness Harbour. You could go over there, you could walk around to Racwick, it's a fair walk, or you could cheat a little bit and get the minibus at the ferry terminal over on Hoy. That'll drop you off at Racwick Bay. You could have a look around Racwick, up to the old man of Hoy, back down, and arrange for when you wanted that minibus to pick you up. It's quite cheap. It'll bring you back to the travel centre there, or the ferry terminal there. And there's a nice cafeteria there, a nice beach. It really is a worthwhile trip. On a nice day, it really is a island in between us and that is Grainside. That ferry also stops there, and there's a nice route from the ferry pier out to that lighthouse. If we look to the front and left, we can see Stromness now. You can see the ferry boat wharfing the houses there at this end of it. Stromness is a quaint little town. The fisherman's cottage is a gabled inn, facing the sea for protection with their gabled ends. The road behind it's a cobbled road. It really is a quaint little place. If you went right away through Stromness and up onto the Black Hill behind, there's a start of the coastal path that goes right away out to Mersey. 400 million, let me get it right, 400 million years ago, when all this area, right away down to the Orkney firth, right away out to Norway, was a freshwater lake. Orkney's tilted on this side, tilted up, so this is the best place for fossils on this side of the island, between Percy and Stromness. That's Dr. John Ray's house, the famous Arctic explorer on our left there. The green window downstairs, it's gabled in facing us, the single window upstairs. John learned his sailing skills in the middle of Ireland out there. John, as I said, discovered the Northwest Passage. That's widely recognised now. But in the past, Franklin was given the accolades for it. Franklin never discovered the Northwest Passage. People today recognise it was Dr. John Ray. There's a nice memorial to him in Kirkwall Cathedral. Likewise, if you went into Westminster Abbey, there's a huge memorial there to Franklin saying he discovered the Northwest Passage. That's recognised now as a falsehood. It was Dr. John Ray. Someone bought it a number of years back and renovated it. If you look out the back, you can see the aqueducts at the back of the house. They've renovated the house to a high standard, turned it into a B&B. I'll slow right down as we go across the bridge here. If you look down to the right, you can look into the garden there. They've got the river, the water wheel there, they've put a bridge, they've put plants. It's a beautiful little spot. They're very successful, but it works hard, they deserve it. So as we're moving along the road now, we're going up to the Brig of Waite. Brig of Waite is an Orkneyan way of saying Bridge of Waite. It's where the Loch of Stenness fills up from the flow here. So the Loch of Stenness is a sea loch, it's salt water in there. Hopefully this afternoon we might get a glimpse of some seals pretty close in. On the loch itself there's a group that's staying there. At the Brig of Waite, at the outset of World War II, the Germans for some reason bombed the hamlet at the bottom of this road. They dropped high explosives and quite a lot of incendiary devices. I don't know the reason why. It's not an important place unless they put the Brig of Waite as an important site. So they dropped bombs down here, and when we'll get down here further, I'll go into a little bit of the history, point out a couple of bits here. Over on the left hand side we can now see the Brig of Waite itself with them three arches where the Loch of Stenness fills up. This is an excellent place in this area for seal spotting, and over on the opposite bank to us there's a good chance if you're quiet and spend a couple of hours along that bank you're likely to spot an otter. So like I was saying, this was bombed at the outset of World War II in 1939. Bombs exploded around here, And a house on the left was damaged. A guy in the house on the right, a young guy, was worried about his elderly neighbour, rushed across the road just in front of the bus here, and a bomb went off and he was killed. He became the first civilian to be killed in the Second World War by bombing in Britain. It wasn't London, Birmingham, Glasgow, it was here in rural Orkney. He lived in that house that's set back over there. Silver Slipper. I think it was an Orkney's sense of humour for the main. It was a really run-down place, so the Orkneys give it a glamorous name. Many soldiers, sailors remembered that, and many of the locals out on the walk would call in there for a drink. It lasted until the 1960s when the police, they kept raiding it, and in the mid-60s they made a concentrated effort and staked it out one night and raided it quite late on a Friday night. Unfortunately for them, when they got in the door, the first person they arrested, a young girl, turned out to be the police chief's daughter, so it was a bit embarrassing, and they hushed it all up. But they didn't forget, and they went back about 4 months later and caught him with a drink in there, and money in there, and people drinking, and so it was closed down and he was arrested. A lot of Orkneys were bemused with the national press. With the news of the world described it as Orkney's answer to Al Capone, which was a bit rich. We'll take a shortcut over to Stromness now. This first rise we'll go over is really a false rise. And the second rise we go over in about 3/4 of a mile time. To the front of the bus we'll get a really great panoramic view of Stromness and the harbour with the Boy Hills as a backdrop. It really is a spectacular viewpoint. We're going to pop into Stromness. We won't stop there unless there's anyone to collect. If there is, we'll just collect them up quickly and get on our way to Scarborough. Military hospital in the Second World War. This strange structure beside us, it had a water tank on top of that. That's where the fresh water comes from, up the tank there. that film. It lasts 5 or 6 minutes, it's very short, but it explains what you're going to see when you actually get down on the site itself. So you'll have a far better understanding of what's going on when you get down there if you look at that film. So I recommend you watch it. It's 6 minutes well spent. very green and lush today. That wasn't always the case. Most of Orkney, if you look at this hill to our left-hand side, you see that dark scrubby area up the top. This was what most of Orkney would have been like. It had been very sort of boggy and marshy down here. But over the centuries, as drainage methods evolved, and then especially when tractors were introduced, the farmers drained the fields, ploughed them and planted grass. The reason they planted grass is that the cattle are kept in over the winter, and this grass is used to feed them. It's turned into silage and it's used to feed the cow. They like to cut the grass 3 times a year. They can definitely cut it twice, but if the weather's reasonable, they'll try and cut it 3 times. And that gives them the hay and silage for the winter. To the left of the bus, through this valley, is Yesterday. It really is a special place down here. High cliffs, it's a nice walk. There is sea stacks down there. The wildflowers are absolutely gorgeous. You get puffins down there, lots of different seabirds. It's a good place to spot seals. It's a nice walk from here down there, or a nice walk from Stromness along the coastal path. When it's a really wild day, Yesterday comes into its own. It's very spectacular. I can see the build up 2,000 miles from Canada. Smashing the cliffs there, amazing power. The little streams that are going over the cliff into the sea, instead turn up and go into the sky like smoke. So it's really wholesome every day, and it's really stunning. This area we're coming up to where the buildings are is Wartime, is Sandwich, Wartime Farm. This is where, in the Second World War, the first German plane to be shot down by an American plane, it was here. Down in the plain to our right there was 2 airfields, a naval airfield and a RAF airfield. On the naval airfield, it was Christmas Day. 2 wildcats with their crew were sitting on the airfield, and they noticed a German plane fly over. The German was taking liberties a bit. He wanted to see what ships were around and what was moving. So they saw him and took straight off. They ganged up on him and they machine gunned the rear gunner, and he was wounded and the gun was disabled. They shot up both engines and destroyed the rudder at the back. The pilot must have been extremely cool and skillful. He managed to land the plane and get everyone off. I was trying to set fire to him, and then it all turned into a bit of a farce. The local farmer who had seen this happen run up to the house with his son, grabbed his shotgun, went down there and arrested them all, stopped them setting fire to it. But he was mortified to hear his wife shouting for him, and when he looked round, she was running down the hill with his jacket, waving his jacket over her head, shouting, "John, John." So he called out to her and said, "Go back to the house, woman, this is dangerous work." She called back to him and said, "John, your shells are in the pocket." So he was down there with an empty shotgun. Unfortunately, the air crew was glad to be on the ground, and they didn't make a fuss. Directly to our front now is a lock of scow. Up the far end of it is Scour House and Scour Parade. The lock of scow is unusual. It's free fishing in there, incidentally. But it's unusual in that it's only at its deepest is a metre deep. So you can walk from one people who had islands or land. And on his time off, he took to walking out into the lock, carrying big stones, and dropped them where that island is today. There wasn't no island there. Gradually that broke the surface, and he tapped it down. And on his time off, he took to sitting out there. Some guys had their sheds, he had his island. He's long since passed, but he's still affectionately remembered. The island's named after him, it's Nubby's Isle. Being strong then in Scarabray in a minute or two. I'll park as near as the front I can, behind the coaches there. As they move, I'll try and move forward. But you should have no problem when you come out. This is Yummy open top bus on Orkney. It'll be a lot different from the coaches. I'll move further and further, closer to the door if you like. And when you come out, get back on. We'll nip off to the ring of Rodger. We'll leave here at 4:25. So that gives you about an hour and 25 minutes from now. You get an extra 5 minutes. So you should get plenty of time to look around and get a cup of tea and a cake if you want. If you remember to use the public conveniences before you get back on the bus, there won't be enough ones to go. There are red shanks on the fence there, if you notice. Just taking up there. paint the insects at the end of the year when the flowers die off. There's a lot of gold type plants there. As the gold rots, it encourages more insects to get more free food for the bird. Quite a few of these fields planted around Orkney. You can go down to the side of the original film. Right here, there's two patches there, the yellow estate here planted. Over to our right, we can see the locust and nest at the far end of it. We can see just a glimpse of Cambus Farm, just past the rig there. And straight forward in front of the bus, we can see the lock of Mary as we go down the road. These locks will get closer and closer together until we get to the bottom road when corners separate them. It's the road itself. As I said, Harry is fresh water, Stennis is salt water. As we get down near the bottom of the road, perhaps another mile further down, you'll be able to pick out sites yourself that have yet to be dug. The surface stuff will look quite natural. Then there's going to be a bird house which they will be going underneath it. It doesn't take long to get dry. It's a bit more difficult on this end of the road because the fields are cultivated. Down the hill, we'll get our first glimpse of a ring of Broadgott to the right of the road. Again, to its right hand side you can see two hillocks, to the left there's two smaller ones. This area really is rich in sites. There's done geophysics all the way down this road on the fields beside, right the way down to the end, to the main road, and round to the Maze Town. And there's just so much going on under the ground that they haven't even tapped yet. So although we can see a lot on top of the ground, there's so much more underneath it that's yet to be dug out. Again, the lock of Stennis on our right and the lock of Harry on our left, getting closer and closer together. We're going to pull in where these vans are. We'll park up there and you'll have 30 minutes to get down, look round the ring of Broadgott, get back on the bus, and then we'll be off to Kirkwall. So we're going to park up here. If you could be back on the bus at 5 minutes past 5. The bus will leave here at 5 minutes past 5. Okay, so the path's to the left, it goes up to the side. These seals are quite fond of these rocks just underneath the surface and they lay on them. But they're quite amusing to watch. They push each other off the stones and nick the other one's place. On this field on the left-hand side, down the far end, you can see a single stone. This is the keystone. As we turn the corner, if you look directly behind that stone, you can see Maze Howe, chambered kern. On the winter solstice, the sun sinks behind the high hills, clips the top of that stone, and shines down the entranceway of Maze Howe, which is directly behind there. Onto a particular trip there. Maze Howe is 5,000 years old. It's the same age as the Scarabraean and the Ring of Furka. What makes it a bit more special is the Vikings forced their way in the 12th century on a stormy day and spent 2 days looting it. But in turn they left a lot of graffiti in the form of ruins. These are the largest concentrations of ruins outside of Scandinavia. Lots of, if you buy a Orkney jumper, Fair Isle jumper, Shetland jumper, you'll really bet on it. 99 times out of 100, this is where the ruins came from. The graffiti in this is very much what you expect. I can't wait to see Elga. Basically, this is breaking out whatever he is. It's not the top graffiti. got no seat frontage, it's the only parish around here without a bus stop. Though it's got the biggest lot. If you look down into the left, you can see this rolling landscape with small pillars. This was created back in the last ice age when the glacier came through here. It scraped off of the topsoil, grounded the rocks, took them further on. When it receded, topsoils come back to a certain degree, but you can still see the shapes of the rocks underneath. We left Purple with past St Ola's Cemetery. I talked about a young New Zealand pilot who was killed in the war. It was Lonsdale Road. Lonsdale plane crashed behind this house to our right, about 400 yards back there, up on that scrubby hill. Lonsdale's colleague came down on the hill to our front on the left there, about a mile down there. Maybe going through, me too right out of the old. It was this time of year, they'd taken off at 2 in the morning. They had to take off, it was a wartime patrol, there was 3 aircraft. It was misty, but it got a lot worse when they was up and they couldn't see the ground. One of the pilots went up to 16,000 feet above all the mist and was waiting for his colleagues to pop out. But they never did. They stayed down there looking for a place to land and run out of fuel. Fortunately, someone over at Twat Airfield on an early radar radio directional finder managed to locate him on the radio and talked him down. But they couldn't raise the other 2 aircraft. I suspect they had fell out of the sky at that time. On our left is Finscarf Woods, Finscarf Farm, Finscarf House. The same guy owns Finscarf House, who owns Scowl House. The laird there back in the 18th century wanted the woods and he put out stakes with flags on. And at the beginning of spring, he checked them to see what the least worn was by the wind. Thought that would be the best place to plant a tree. That he did, and it was very successful, and he got his woods. That's still used around the world today in windy sides, but it was here where it was first tried and tested. We're coming up now to Finstown. Finstown's unusual in its name, Finstown. Most Orkney names are Norse. Finn was an Irishman. Estra up to our left. Finn was in the British Army in Napoleonic times. He finished his time in Orkney and decided halfway in between Kirkwood and Stromness to be an excellent place to start a pub. So Finn opened a pub here, called it the Toddy Pub. Some years later, Finn moved on down to Aberdeen. His pub's still here on the right-hand side. We're just coming up to his green-coloured building. It's a pub nowadays. It was just a single-storey end that was a pub then. The whole pub now is named Pomona Inn. Pomona being an old name for Orkney. It means oasis, that type of thing. That's the Orkney flag flying up there. Over on our right, the cemetery there, one of the graves is Joe Grimman, who used to be leader of the Liberal Party. Joe was well respected on Orkney. His family still farm here. The family farm is further along in Finstown, up on the hill on the right. birthplace. Over the years, fishermen have talked about buildings being underneath the water here. It was taken as a fisherman's town. But about 5 years ago, I put a boat out with sonar on it, and it located 5 buildings, possibly 7, but 5 definite buildings. This suggests that this area flooded approximately 4,500 years ago. And they believe before that time you could walk from here right out to North Bromsey, which is most northerly of the Orkney Isles. It's about 20 miles out there to our north. The Loch Stennis flooded perhaps about the same time. It used to be a salt marsh there. The sea broke through initially and gradually it turned to a sea loch. Largest Viking drinking hall on Orkney. There used to be a Viking who lived over there called Sven. He used to plant his seeds out in the spring for his crops. Then he'd nip out and plunder it down to the Western Isles, Scotland, Ireland, the Isle of Man. He'd come back in at the end of the summer, get his crops in, then nip back out before the weather turned and try and do the same again. He kept about 80 men in his pay, and over the winter he kept them over there in food, meat mainly, and drink. It was the only way to keep the troops happy, and he fed them drunk all the way through the winter months until he was ready to go away again. It was a sort of last of the Viking raiders, if you like. He died out pretty soon after he died. Times have changed. Times where men with a small boat, perhaps as many as 80 as he had, would go down and raid places. Castles started appearing in places, and they kept troops ready, and if appropriate men landed, they would have been slaughtered straight away. Sven is mentioned in the Viking sagas. It covers about 40 pages. The guy was pretty lethal. They mainly put his allegiance down to the bishop. When you get up to the top, there's brilliant views there, right down into Scotland. You see quite a few of the Scottish mountains down there. And over to our left-hand side, you can see right out, quite clear day, to North Bromsey. You can see most of the Northern Isles from up there. Over along the base of the hill, right the way around this side, they're excavating. They've found some really good stuff there, but it must have been a very popular place again, 5,000 years ago. One of the latest sort of finds, they've found the footings of a house. There's no house there at all, with the footings of it, and they date back to 5,500 years. So that was 500 years before Scarabray. It puts it in the same time we can see the liner, little deep water wharf in Kirkwall Bay. We're going to turn onto the industrial estate and take a shortcut through. In the Second World War, this industrial estate was in fact a naval airfield called HMS Royal Oak. At the outset of the war, it was a very important airfield. It was expected that Germany would invade from Norway and troops were built up here to counteract it. But when the Bismarck sailed out of its field in Norway, a plane from here stripped down to the bare minimum with 2 pilots on it, flew out to its limit of fuel, checked the fuel, realised that Bismarck had sailed, got back here on the radio and told them, and the hood was informed, and the hood went out to engage the course of Bismarck. Unfortunately she was sunk in minutes, but that started the hunt for the Bismarck. Within 8 days, the Royal Navy caught up with her and sunk her. But the hunt for her started here. Although there's lots of new buildings on the industrial estate, there's still quite a few buildings that date back to the wartime that were used in the war, and you can still pick them out today. Some of them have got different skins on the outside, but they're the same buildings. As we get a bit further down, I'll point these out to you. Over on our right up on the hill, you can see that building with JW tape written on it in red and white. That's an old hangar. There's 4 going along the top there you can pick out. Over to our left, these are the rifle ranges, and just by this car, this was a flying boat gun testing range. Put the targets up in symbols down here, practice on there. The flying boats used to come in just for these boats. Causeway there still today. They used to come up the causeway, across the road here, and up to the top of the garages. Incidentally, this was the main runway. This is where the young New Zealander, Lonsdale Wirren, took off from that fatal night. So you see where Lonsdale took off, you see his crash site, and when we first started out, you see where he's buried. So the whole circle of the story. We're back in Kirkwall now. We're going to go across to the left on the Air Road. The Air means sandbank. On Orkney you get an air and an oist. The air is a sandbank, the oist is a water trap.